So I thought, well, maybe it was snakes. But they kind of, no, it's not a snake. I said, well, what is it? And they said, it's the Jin. And I said, the Jin? Yeah, that's
as
what
in the Muslim, the Middle Eastern tradition of the Jinn actually predates the Muslim religion for very much. But the idea of the Jinn, and the Jinn is go ahead and tell us.
Well, they use the word Jinn because Sulawesi is 85% Muslim, so
right.
They will use that term. They also use the term, which is a more local called Kachachi, which means little person.
Have any of them ever seen these creatures?
Well, that gets me. They have seen them. Yes, they get spotted once in a while. They do live. They say they live in the mountains. They say that because that's where they're found. They don't actually know if they live in the mountains, but that's where they're in the mountains in the jungle, and they just come down and they take. So I asked for a description, but I'll get to that story next because this is much more recent. Now, fast forwarding a bit till I come back, I got here just a little while ago, and a friend of mine, I went to go visit and spend some time with, and she told me a story about her cousin who lives with her, and about on January 31st of last year, they decided to just go mountain hiking, and which is common there. Everybody does it. So it's normal. So there was 5 of them, and they went into the mountains to spend a few days. They brought 3 to 4 days worth of food with them. It was just like a normal outing. They had not heard from them till turned into about the 12th of February, and none of them had returned. And so they sent out search parties for them. And you have to understand, the reason why it took them so long to develop a search party is because the people have to put together the money in order to pay for a search party.
It's not something that's done by the government there like it is here?
Not really, no. I mean, there is a little bit, but even the government will sometimes want you to pay for it. Because in their mind, you took the chance of going onto the mountains, it's you're going to pay for that, right? They don't want to foot the bill. So the family had to put together the money for it, and then they could put together and look for them, the search party, and look for them. And they finally found her cousin. The other ones were missing. What little bit the cousin can remember of this time, when they found him, he was emaciated. He was a very skinny, he didn't feel properly. He hadn't eaten for a long time. He managed to live. Luckily, it's a moist and humid part of the world, so he could find water, and he survived on that, and what little else he could find. But he was in very rough shape. But they finally found him in March, on the 4th of March of this year, and he started talking about what happened, and he has these memories of seeing these little people following them. And he has memories of them, of being around water, and then he has memories of seeing animals he's never seen before.
Such as?
And then there are these big animals. They're almost the size of horses, with huge antlers. The closest I can think of that we would find in our area is like caribou or reindeer or something like that, right?
It's certainly not in the Indonesian jungle.
Yeah, there's. If there is anything like that, it hasn't been found. It's not,
right.
So we're at that. And he remembers seeing these different areas in that, and he also remembers these little people. And so I said, well, can you draw me a picture? Well, he's not an artist, but he did the best he could. And what he did was he drew this picture of a being with small black eyes, a very small nose, almost non-existent, but a grin, a mouth that is hugely broad. And it distorts the whole face because it's so large. And even just seeing this thing as almost like a happy face, you know what I mean? Just as a stick figure, it was eerie to see this thing.